The James Show Podcast.
I know, good to see you too. We're live from the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. Now, I saw this earlier today, and they're calling him Fled Cruz, which is kind of a nice play on words, because it rhymes with Ted, huh? But you probably remember, 5 years ago when we had the snowpocalypse at the beginning of 2021, and Ted Cruz caught some flack for going to Cancun. It was Cancun, wasn't it? And so now the viral picture being passed around says, Ted Cruz is now on an airplane headed to Laguna Beach as the state of Texas braces for a rare ice threat and Arctic cold front. Now, the person who is supposedly at the beginning of this is a guy that's named Shea Jordan Smith. I think he's the original guy to retweet or to tweet it. He's from Houston. He is a politically active fellow. Looks like he used to work for Sheila Jackson Lee, the congresswoman from Houston who passed away last year. I don't know exactly what he's doing now, but he said he was previously with Empower Pro and Sheila Jackson Lee. And so, this is a political animal. But immediately it got passed around and some news sources glommed on it pretty quick. Like, hey, this just happened today, and we already have an article on WFAA about it. And so here's the headline on WFAA. Ted Cruz spotted on plane ahead of winter weather expected in Texas this weekend. There's a sub-headline as well that says a photo of the senator has made the rounds online with some comments referencing Cruz's now infamous trip to Cancun in February 2021. Now, this was just put up while you were eating lunch today at 12:10. It got updated at 12:57. So they start off by saying we're bracing for potential wintry precipitation this weekend. And then they bring up this photo with the tweet embedded from Shea Jordan Smith, the one that kicked all this off. Now, they say several comments on the post reference Cruz's now infamous trip to Cancun during the deadly February 2021 storm. And let's see if they ever admit what I saw. So I go to the original tweet from Shea Jordan Smith, and one of the top comments on it is, hey, Grok, is this true? And so if you're not familiar with how X's working these days, you can just put at Grok, ask it a question, and if you're a premium user, it'll use the AI to, answer your question. In this case, verify what the picture is. Grok says the picture is from that trip he took on the airplane in 2021. So what we have here is another follow-up question. Is there any verified reports or evidence that Ted Cruz flew to Laguna Beach today? Grok says no. So what do we have here? We have somebody who, did he make this story up? Is he really going to Laguna Beach? And if he is it because of the storm? Was it something that was pre-planned? Why are they using a picture that's not associated with that? Do we not have a picture of it? Is the whole thing fabricated? Are they just lying? So there's been a response. A Ted Cruz spokesperson said Senator Cruz is currently on a pre-planned work travel that was scheduled weeks in advance. He will be back in Texas before the storm is projected to hit. So this is what I'm finding in the comment section under the original post. I am not finding that in the WFAA article. And not to beat up on WFAA. The way these things work is some guy's sitting at the news desk. This report comes in. He has to crank out like 20 of these a day. So he just gets the parts that are fed to him. He converts it into his own vernacular, puts it online with the post. Because it is viral. They're right to do it. They're right to point it out. A lot of people are passing it around. But just a little bit of research, a little bit in addition to the backstory, they probably wouldn't have added it to their website at all, especially considering the picture doesn't match the story. Now, it turns out there's a half-truth here. Ted Cruz is going to Laguna Beach, but he's going to be back before the storm hits. It was pre-planned. That's not what the photo's from anyway. But look at how quickly they will jump on just the smallest piece of social media fever if it fits the narrative. Meanwhile, we have to beat down the doors because one of our top stories yesterday was CARE was sponsoring the Islamic Games at Colleyville ISD. They were going to use the athletic complex for a specifically Islamic event paid for by the taxpayers. Were they all over that one? Because that went viral as hell over the weekend. No, they're not as quick to jump on those. Isn't that nice? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. On top of all that, I think I have a fairly unpopular opinion, although you might agree with it. Just if you were to take a survey, I don't care if the senator of a state goes somewhere else if there's going to be a snowstorm. Whoop-de-doo. That's probably what I would do if I had money, too. And it's not like they get to avoid snow. They have to live in D.C. like half the year. They get plenty of snow. It's not like they're not used to it or they're weenies or they can't hack it. I just don't care. How does he govern? How does he vote? Because a free market capitalist that runs when it snows is far preferable to a socialist that just hunkers down and freezes with the rest of us. Because this new trend that started, did this start during COVID where people started turning the camera on themselves and just recording their mental breakdowns? When did that become cool? Because the last thing, like when I was growing up, out in Bug Tussle, maybe it's a little more hyper-masculine than what you city folks see. But the last thing we would want anybody to see of us is having a mental breakdown. Like life is just kicking you in the teeth so hard you got to cry into your phone. You cried into your phone. You're a man. You're getting all upset and having a crash out over something politicians said or, oh no, ICE is arresting illegal immigrants and taking them back to their home country? You're having a crash out over that? The hell's going on? So, what's happened over the weekend with interrupting the church service? That went from being absolutely sacrosanct, like who on earth, only bad people would go bother folks while they're worshiping. Remember that when ICE announced that churches aren't off limits? Oh my God, that is so bad. They're stepping it up though. Listen to this one guy. Hey, we could harass ICE on the weekends. Maybe not just when they're doing their job. Maybe not just when they're arresting criminals, but we could find out who these people are and just follow them around and give them hell.
It is funny, right? When you find out what an ICE agent does on the weekend and you go and harass them, there's not much they could do about it. Because at that moment in time, they're just a private citizen. And you're a private citizen. So the federal government can't do anything about
it. You think you're the good guy? Is that what good guys do? Is that what good guys do is go dox cops and then follow them around on the weekend while they're trying to have personal time with their family and give them hell? Is that what good guys do? Is that what when good guys get upset at Elon Musk, do the good guys just go on about their business? Or do they firebomb the nearest Tesla dealership or key the nearest Tesla car? Which one's the good guys? The guys that do that or the guys that don't do that? Which one's more feral? Which one's more civilized? Which one would you rather live next door to? Because it gets a little worse. Are you the good guys if there's mobs of people in downtown who agree with you politically and y'all are seeking out either your political opponents and or ICE agents? Because I'm going to play you a video or the audio from a video where it looks like about 8 guys. And they're in some downtown, I think it's Minneapolis, but I'm not sure. And they say they see a guy in a car, and he's supposedly an ICE agent that they're looking for. And so then they go mob the car, they surround it while it's stopped at a stoplight, and they try and pull him out of the car. They try and open the car, they reach through the window, they're yanking on this guy's clothes. And then eventually the light turns green, and the car starts to go slowly 2 miles an hour until the guys in front of it move, and then it just lays on the horn and drives off, is what you'll hear. And there's only 2 cuss words.
That's him!
That's him. You hear that? That's him.
That's him! Is that him? Is that him? Yeah! Open the door! Oh my God! Drive! Oh my God! Just drive! Stop! Wait! Let them go! Let them go! Hey, pull over! Pull over! Hey, leave it! Get out of here! Leave it up! Get out of here! No! Y'all just let him leave! It's not working! Hey! We don't know him! Let him out! Let him out!
Yeah, nice group of people. I bet they're real fun at parties. Are you the good guy if you're doing that? Does everybody appreciate the absolutely delicious irony? I mean, this is like going to a Golden Corral buffet of irony. Because what are they accusing ICE of doing? There's these masked guys. They're not in uniform. They're in plain clothes. And they're just going up and they're pulling people out of cars without checking their ID with no warrants, with no due process. That's what you're doing now. So I thought that was fantastic. Does everyone else just appreciate like how deliciously ironic that is? Because they just go back and forth. On January 6th, they sit around and they told you, what was that, 2 weeks ago? That oh man, you got to remember January 6th. There were some brave cops, and can you believe these protesters got out of hand, and they got violent with them, and they hit them with bear spray, and they were swinging sticks at them, and, these are just good cops doing their job, and what kind of evil monster would pick on cops? And then the next day, riots. Next day, picking on cops. Next day, actually the next day after January 6th this year, that's when Renee Good got shot. And then all of a sudden, cops were evil again. They're just bloodthirsty, racist monsters. Oh, I got it. That can really swing fast depending on the narrative, huh? But remember, this is Tim Waltz last year telling you targeting church services were wrong.
I would fully expect, and we are preparing for, an influx of more agents, more of the very visible public theatrics of the raids, of the harassments. And you got faith leaders here. I would not put it past this administration to target midnight mass services amongst folks going to worship, because that's who they are.
Yeah, that's who they are. Like, implying that that's wrong, right? That's wrong. Isn't that terrible? Only bad people would go interrupt the church service for political purposes. And then here we are. Do they get the same condemnation? It's all a game, and it's all a lie, and it's working. They have people so worked up about this. They have people so angry about this. They're freaking out. They're attacking people in their cars. They're writing off their family members. Remember, we were playing the viral videos of people who were like, I'm not going home for Thanksgiving. No, I have a MAGA dad, and he doesn't deserve to have a relationship with his daughter if he's going to support literally Hitler. Canceling Christmas. The other just terribly ironic context that I want you to remember is you were told that with the Trump immunity ruling from the Supreme Court just, I think that was 2 years ago, now it's 2026, that there was going to be roving bands of right-wingers. There's going to be roving bands of right-wing death squads. You remember the old right-wing death squad scare tactic? Now, what's happened since then? Are there roving bands of right-wingers or left-wingers terrorizing citizens in major American cities right now, or anywhere in America right now?
It's also scary.
It's also scary.
What is Trump going to do? If Trump gets elected, that's really, really scary for the public, because it's almost like a license to thug in a way.
Van Jones is in the closet. We all agree with that, right? And that's okay. Hey, look, like who you like. The boy really comes out. You can't hide it when you're like, that's so scary. Never said that in my life.
That is very frightening.
I mean, this is a death squad ruling, and this is a president who has activated pro-Trump paramilitary groups that, wear insignia and T-shirts and hold placards celebrating literally right-wing death squads.
The imperial presidency is now concretely here.
And it's a dangerous precedent, because the power of the office will no longer be constrained by the law, even including the Supreme Court of the United States.
If he were to use SEAL Team 6 to try to assassinate one of his political opponents, so long as he did it through the auspices of the presidency, let's say use the NSA to say, let me investigate the Bidens as a national security threat, and then we need to go ahead and assassinate them when they take a foreign trip. We'll just...
These people, they have convinced themselves that they're fighting Nazis. And they've been telling you that there's going to be roving bands of right-wingers terrorizing their political opponents. You fast forward 2 years, what do we have? Roving bands of left-wingers terrorizing their political opponents. It's almost like they were telling you what they were going to do. And this is the frustrating part. How are we always the bad guys in all of this stuff? How no matter what the problem is, we're going to get the blame. Look out, there's white rural rage coming. That was another favorite one of mine. Do you remember the White Rural Rage book? A guy who is a professor and a guy who is a journalist, which, man, I just can't roll my eyes hard enough. Two of the most fouled professions we have left in America. They were telling you in 2024, you got to look out. There's going to be white rural rage. And then they go on. I'm only going to play you like a small part of this, but this was like an 8-minute segment where they just went on and on with these two authors, and they're 180 degrees wrong on this in their predictions.
Joining us now, Professor of Political Science at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, Tom Schaller, and journalist and opinion writer Paul Waldman. Their new book, out tomorrow, is entitled White Rural Rage, The Threat to American Democracy. And Tom, we'll start with you. Why are white rural voters a threat to democracy at this point? You would think, as we pointed out, looking at Joe Biden's background and Donald Trump's...
Hang on a second. So, white rural voters, that's obviously an avatar for Republican voters. We all get that, right? They're just packaging it and pretty wrapping paper.
The opposite would be true.
I mean, we lay out the fourfold interconnected threat that white rural voters pose to the country. First of all, and we show 30 polls and national studies to demonstrate this. So we provide the receipts in Chapter 6. They're the most racist, xenophobic, anti-immigrant, and anti-gay geodemographic group in the country. Second, they're the most conspiracist group. QAnon support and subscribers, election denialism.
They just slandered. They're talking about you. You realize that, right? They're talking about you. They're trying to convince the rest of the world that you're evil. Meanwhile, where's their riots? Is there ever any riots in rural America? Did anyone loot a Foot Locker in a small town or throw a brick through the window of a storefront? Is anyone getting drug out of their car and have the crap beat out of them on the street in a small town? Or does that happen exclusively in the hyper blue, dense cities? Is it right-wingers or is it Team Blue that's doing this? And why do we keep getting slandered like this when we're clearly not the feral ones? They were protesting in Bryan yesterday. There was a walkout. You know Bryan, College Station down there, Aggie Land? Some high school kids walked out to protest the ICE raids. We having a pretty good time. And some of the signs were vulgar, but most of them were clean. We got to melt ice, goofy things like that. One of them did say F ice, but it had the whole word spelled out. I was like, well, that's probably not appropriate in a school setting, but whatever. Hey, as long as we're flipping off our political opponents, everything's okay, right? But I have a big problem with this. Because number one, are they going to get punished for this? I have less of a problem if they're going to get punished with this, but if, the teachers organize this and we're just going to walk out and then we'll have the news show up and it'll be like, look at how everybody agrees with our political position. You must be a weirdo if you don't. One of those. See how fun it is? See how cool it is if you're one of us? If you're one of the people that hates the current administration or hates Team Red, you get all kinds of love. Just say what Team Blue wants you to say. You'll be on TV. You'll get to ditch school. You can make some signs, some cuss in public. It's a good time. But what do we care what a kid thinks about foreign policy? What do we care about what a kid thinks about any form of statecraft? We're talking about their brains aren't even fully formed yet. We don't even let most of the kids you saw out there drive a car yet. We don't even let them have a credit card. They can't even go see a movie with boobies in it yet. But we're supposed to listen to them when it comes to how we're supposed to handle our immigration laws and enforcement. No, thank you. But again, the thing that should bother you about this is they get special privileges. Team Blue giving itself special privileges. Because it's what they're doing in the ICE protest right now that really bothers you, is that you're not allowed to go block a road. You can't just go out there with the bullhorn and start yelling out at someone's house. You can't go with the cowbell with a couple of your friends and start banging it outside of a hotel so the occupants can't sleep without the cops showing up and either writing you a ticket or taking you to jail. Cuffing you and getting you out of there. You're going to spend the night in the pokey. We'll let you out in the morning. You can't get away with that. But when you see people on TV over and over and over getting away with it, it's quite obvious they're getting special privileges. They're getting preferential treatment. They're not experiencing the same level of discrimination you would. So that's the problem here. When I ditched class in school, I had to go to detention or in-school suspension. I still owe Bug Tussle ISD 6 days of Saturday school. I think it might be 9, actually. So are these kids going to get punished? Because if not, now we have another problem. But also, teachers, you're okay with this? The teachers were out there with them. The teachers were walking in front of them and opening the door and then opening the gate. And it really looked like their idea. Because if you ask a kid if he wants to walk out, he'll be like, sure, what's the cause? He doesn't even care what the cause is. Sure, I get to miss school. It's better than doing math. How are their math scores? Are we doing good in Texas with our math scores? We got time to spend on this. But in a way that's kind of a great preparation for life. Because just like these students, if they follow Team Blue doctrine, follow whatever the crowd's doing, whatever they're told to do on TV, they get special treatment. They can break rules that you can't. It's got to be kind of a intoxicating power these people have. Because look at these guys. They're running up, stopping cars in traffic, pulling on the door handle, trying to pull them out, beating the crap out of them in the street. If they go into jail, these people getting arrested, I'll play the mob attack and the conservative in a car. These guys. What happens if you go pull on a door handle screaming at someone? You realize the way laws are written, carjacking laws are written, you can shoot someone who pulls on your door handle and looks aggressive. You're well within your rights. They're talking people into doing this. They're celebrating it. They're trying to expand it. Remember the guy that wants to do it on the weekends too, not just when they're at work?
Right? When you find out what an ICE agent does on the weekend and you go and harass them, there's not much they could do about it.
Dude, they want bodies to pile up because that would be good for the cause. That would rile up the disinterested third parties that aren't really paying attention. That would drive turnout. They think this is their path to, I guess, more political power. They are really riling people up over here, calling them Nazis, giving them special privileges, and when they do cross the line, they're not getting punished for it. After Renee Good got shot, even if you don't agree with her getting shot, even if you think it was a tragic mistake by the police, shouldn't you at least be telling the other people, hey, how about we stop blocking the street? How about we not interfere with them? You can observe them, you can record them from a distance, you can say mean things to them, but you can't be throwing things at them. You can't be blocking their cars. You can't be using your cars to try and drive through them and escape. No, they're not even throwing it in there.
Your attention, please.
Because,
any of you that would like to participate,
excuse me for that one.
Vendors, any of you that would like to participate in the Civic Shop and give a discount.
Yeah, well, I guess you can tell we're at a live broadcast. But the question becomes, should minor children be allowed to protest like this? Because I don't think they should. What if you found out this was one of your kids? What if one of your kids came home and you saw them on the news protesting ICE? What would you tell them?
The James Show Podcast.